Hi.
I'm just scarfing down the rest of my dinner, so I'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Hey there.
Hi.
We're just missing. Was Savannah going to be here tonight? I couldn't remember.
I think Savannah can make it. Melanie cannot.
Okay. Oh dear, that means one of us has to take notes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm already starting.
Okay. Thank you. Kate, do you want me to chair since you did last time? I see if she does. We're going to take turns.
She's finishing her dinner.
Okay. We're glad you finally made it back from Dallas. Your little side adventure. Oh, I couldn't believe it when I saw your email. I'm like, oh my goodness.
I know, I couldn't believe it either. But what can you do?
Exactly. Would they have put you up in a hotel or not if you didn't know somebody there?
They said that they were out of hotels.
Oh my goodness, that's even worse.
So, so I was in line to get a hotel voucher because I didn't really feel like going and visiting with my friend at 11:30 at night. I hadn't seen him for 27 years.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, we've been in touch, we were in touch, but quite regularly. We talk on the phone and everything, but but I hadn't met his kids. I'd met his wife once 27 years ago. So let me just write down everyone who's here. All right.
I just saw your email about August 30th being the time to visit Irving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So for some reason, I mean, you're in and it still has you in the waiting room, but I'm not.
Maybe because I couldn't get in, and so I just left the meeting. And
yeah, I'm just going to leave it like that.
Okay. All right.
So I'm not going to do anything because I don't want to jinx it.
It was just being so slow. I thought, okay,
Yeah.
maybe I'll try.
Okay. All right.
Mary Ann, Nancy wanted to know if other people will be allowed to do the Irving Library tour, or is it a limited group?
So I think that we have enough people going. And I think I have to extend an invitation to the finance committee and the select board. So let me see how many people are coming. But
it's not a big deal. She's kind of on the fence with some other things, so
yeah,
I just have to check.
yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. I mean, unless, she wants to help with grant writing, then.
She's a very good writer, but
she does help with things. So, So,
I
I
mean,
thought you had,
if the number gets limited, people could just go sometime when they're open and see what it's like, right?
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I just think, so I think with the surging cases of the, and, like so that's another 3 weeks. Who knows if they'll even be open. I picked an earlier date. I picked the Thursday, and then the Irving Library couldn't do the Thursday. So we were all set, and I almost sent out an email to everybody saying we got August 26th, and then they wrote back and said, oops, we can't do August 26th, so we'll do August 30th. It's only a few days later.
Mhm,
I'm
right.
so glad that it's the 30th because I can be there on the 30th.
Oh,
whereas the
good.
other- Yeah, it's really fortunate for me.
Good, good.
Sorry if it doesn't
Yes.
work as well for other
It's
people.
way better for
Yeah.
me too.
All right, and it works for Molly Moss. So that's really
That's
good.
important.
Yes, and it's really the only date that was going to work for Molly. She gets back the 25th, but she's flying back, and we all know how reliable that is. So, so,
So Kate, I offered to chair, but if you want to leave the discussion about the prep for the August 17th meeting, that would be great.
Sure, thank you. And just thanks, Michelle, for always being on it with the agendas. I really appreciate it.
No
Pretty
problem.
busy time right now. If y'all saw the news today, you probably know why.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yep. So what we had in our notes from last time was to approve the June and July minutes. We have the director's report. We have the Irving site visit date, which is great. Then debrief. I figured it would be good to debrief about the MBLC meeting since most of us were there. And then prep for the August 17th meeting was the big item on the meeting tonight. And at one point, Kate, you mentioned the message box. I didn't know if that would be for tonight or not. And then I checked our email. There's no new email. And I guess that's it, unless somebody else has something else. Is there anything else? And of course, set our next meeting date. Sound good? Okay.
I'm just going to announce that this meeting is online because of the pandemic, and that it's being recorded, and then minutes will be on file with the town clerk's office as soon as they're approved. So
Oh yeah, how does that happen? Because I read the July minutes.
I have, so you can email them to Grace. I
Okay.
don't know how they get posted on the webpage, but maybe if you email them to me, I can ask Fred to put them on the webpage.
Okay. I'll email Grace too, and then because maybe if she does do it, then you don't have to have the burden of doing that as well, Marianne. You've got enough on your plate, so I'll
Yeah,
just I'll
okay,
do both of you. How's that? I'll do the
Okay.
June and July after we approve them.
okay,
So
all
for the
right.
June minutes, all that we wanted to clarify was that little sentence down near the bottom of the bulk of the notes, where Michelle had put something about how the site's chosen. So I clarified it by saying the trustees will choose a site that meets the criteria for best practices, now that I know about that, based on updated water and soil testing, and then make a recommendation to the Shutesbury Select Board, who makes the final, well, approval. That doesn't sound so good, but anyway, that was the only thing that needed to be changed, as I believe, was that sentence, because it was a little muddy.
Brad had his hand up.
Yep, go ahead, Brad. I was waiting to see what Marianne was gonna say. Go ahead, Brad.
Before I do, Kate, you have a hand up.
Oh, not on purpose.
So in that section,
Yes.
I got a little confused because, well, really the two parts you read. Trustees are the ones who approve the site. The Shutesbury Select Board makes the final approval. So we do the initial?
Yeah, so, and I wouldn't even say the Shutesbury Select Board makes the final approval. So yes, it's up to us, since we don't have a lift knack. It's up to us to choose a site, and really, so it's all falling on me to do this site selection work. And of course, I do have some volunteers who I've roped in to help. But I, so it's up to us because because we don't have a lift knack, it's up to us, and then it's up to me to report to you and then to support the best decision, given these two sites that we have. And then the select board has the authority to, I wouldn't say it's up to them to make the final decision, because we're gonna choose the most suitable site. The select board has the authority to make decisions about use of town property.
Oh,
So then we need their permission to use the piece of town property that we identify as the best site.
So that last sentence, the Shutesbury Select Board who approves the
authority.
use of town property.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So if I just add that phrase and get rid of the other one, that makes it clearer. Okay.
Okay, all righty.
All right, then I'll amend that as we just talked about it. I think everything else was okay, as I recall from the previous meeting. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve the June minutes with that amendment? Okay, Brad.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
great.
Aye.
All right, and then I have a different style than
Who seconded it? Kate?
I did,
Yes,
yeah.
you did.
All right.
My minutes look different than Michelle's. I just have a different style. So anyway, here's the minutes from July.
I had a couple of comments.
Okay.
Near the top, approvals, June minutes were chaired.
Oh, tabled probably would be better, right?
Tabled, yeah.
Yep, sure. That's close.
Another one, this is really just a clarification. It's not a question on the minutes.
Okay.
The agenda line item 1, if memory serves, this is really an email address to receive public comments. It has nothing to do with our work. We're continuing as we have. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea to clarify that.
I don't know that it needs to be clarified. That was for my purpose.
Well, we could do that in case somebody reads the minutes.
Okay.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really why we thought it made sense once Marianne suggested it, because I wasn't aware other committees had a town email address, and it made total sense that it wouldn't get mixed up in our personal email.
So email address to receive
Public comments, I can add that.
public comments. Yeah.
Receive and respond to, right? Because we are
Yes.
responding as well.
Right. Okay.
And then down further, item 3, pilot project towards the end, number D.
Mhm.
General public may, I don't think participate's the right word, because they were viewers only. The public comment time is later.
So observe.
Observe, that would be good.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Okay. Anything else? Any other comments or suggestions, corrections? Okay.
Can you read me that language about, so the trustees' email address is intended as a way,
Yeah, what I did is, if this makes sense, under the first number 1, email address for library trustees has been set up with the town, it is, and then I put in parentheses, tell me if this makes sense, to receive and respond to public comment.
okay. Perfect. Because I think that's good to put into these minutes.
I agree. Okay,
All right.
anything else?
Yeah,
Okay, Tim?
the last one about the mediated community sessions,
Uh-huh.
did we talk about any potential time frame?
Not in that meeting.
Okay,
Oh.
so,
I think it was the community sessions that if we get the grant, I don't know. What were you thinking, Mary?
No, we're gonna have some sessions
Before
now,
Okay,
as soon as we can get them organized, but we didn't
Mhm.
talk about a time frame in that meeting.
okay,
Because we have to have the sessions before we,
that's true.
as part of creating the building program, which is
Right, that's
before
true.
we go back to the community for
Right.
money.
I think that
Well-
wasn't as clear to me as it is now after going to the MBL.
Is that
Me
is
too.
that something we want to include on the agenda tonight?
Well, we probably
It's
don't
in the
have.
director's
Okay.
report, isn't it? I don't know.
I thought so.
Okay. Anybody want?
There's something mentioned. We might, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I
Do we
move we
want?
approve.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Okay. All in favor?
Seconded.
Okay.
Yeah, seconded.
Okay.
All right, who seconded?
I did.
Who was that? Who's I?
Kate,
Kate.
sorry.
All right, okay.
All
Um,
right.
Where did you guys see the mediated meetings mentioned in the director's report? I don't,
Oh, I see it under to gather feedback through survey and user experience sessions. I think this is just.
what's
one
it,
user.
what's the date of the, is it July 16th?
Yeah. It's in the top third. MBLC expects us to gather feedback. It's not specifically mentioned, but I feel like this covers what we were talking about.
Okay. I don't sense any desire of anybody to put a time frame on that, but Kate, you said it had to be done by when?
I didn't think
But
we. got
wait a
into
minute, can we
the-
finish the minutes?
Yeah.
Can we finish the minutes? So did everybody, did,
Approved them, yeah.
so,
They did.
all right,
Yes.
okay,
All right. So as soon as you're finished there, Marianne,
okay, all righty.
your director's report. Which, I downloaded it and I like to print these things out and I guess I forgot to print it.
All right.
So I'll just have
So
to listen.
I sent it again and I just
Yeah.
added a few notes to it the other day.
Right.
Just, I barely added anything, but you had asked me to send it again.
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't remember
so,
seeing it. And I still haven't seen it. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull it up.
It was on the email that had the login.
I don't want to lose you guys, so I'm not going to do anything. I'll just listen. I'll look at it later.
Okay. Okay, so in the director's report, the important things are the community meeting next week. And so can any of you be there at 5:30 to help set up
5:30?
chairs?
Yeah,
It
probably.
starts at 6:30. And I'll also ask, some other volunteers from the community to come. And
I'll try, but I can't promise I'll be back from New Hampshire by then. I was planning to be back by 6:30, so.
all right, it starts at 6:30.
Yeah.
So when I arranged with the athletic club to use the pavilion,
Mhm.
we came up with this plan that we'd have a bake sale and split the proceeds.
Mhm.
I am less comfortable. So when we made that plan, I was really pretty comfortable being in public without a mask on. I am no longer comfortable being in public without a mask on, even under a pavilion. I think we have to, I think somebody has to be the grown-up and say that we have to go back to the way we responded to this pandemic a year ago and not the way we were responding to this pandemic 6 weeks ago. And so in the absence of any national or statewide guidance, I'm calling it. And I think I'd like to cancel the bake sale, and just because if people are eating, they're going to be taking their masks off and then they're going to forget to put them back on. I just witnessed this in airports and on planes.
Did you already
So-
say that people should wear masks or not?
Sorry.
Did you already tell people to wear masks?
Yeah, in the
I can't
announce,
remember.
my
I did it,
latest
but-
announcement, I asked people to wear masks, and we'll, so most people are going to really sort of start paying attention. Like most people saw the announcement 2 weeks ago about this and said, oh, that's so far off. I'm not even thinking about it. And they're really going to be looking at the publicity that I put out between now and then. And that's all going to say wear masks. And
Okay.
and I know that, well, actually in Franklin County, we have moderate transmission. We don't have low transmission, we have moderate transmission. So that's one thing. And then if people could get there at 5:30 to help set up, let me go back to that director's report. Kate, do you have a question?
I do. I think this is really wise. I endorse it. We just got guidance from Selena's school that everyone will be masked all year next year, even though it's a middle school and everyone is eligible to be vaccinated. So do we need to compensate the athletic club for the loss of the bake sale proceeds? Because honestly, how much would it have been?
Right. Well, it's hard to say. So the bake sale hasn't been advertised. And I think, so the whole bake sale idea came up because when I asked to do the Tai Chi there on Thursday mornings, Mark Oshevsky sort of wondered if the club shouldn't be charging the library. And then Mark Lelisher really didn't want to and wasn't comfortable with that. And I said, let me think about it. And then I said, Mark, let me know if there's a concert or something or some kind of event happening at the club. And we could provide baked goods for a bake sale. And then, thinking that they have music on Fridays and so we could give them, I think it's $50 to rent the club.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd be glad to just cover it, Marianne, seriously.
I think it makes sense to make a donation. I agree. The 50
Okay.
feels like nothing. It feels like maybe we should get
Yeah.
more. Surprised they charge so little.
So Kate, what do you mean you'd be glad to cover
I'll
it?
just give them a check, and anybody who wants to PayPal me some money is welcome to, but it's not
Okay.
a huge deal for me right now. I'd be glad to do it.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I will tell Mark that, and then maybe at some other point in time, there'll be an opportunity to provide baked goods for some, maybe when they're doing a dinner, we could provide the dessert.
Yeah.
I can make dessert for 100 people, with
Yeah.
blindfolded with one hand tied behind my
I know you can.
yeah, so okay, so I'll just tell Mark that, and then I'll feel safer. I don't want to do anything if like one person got sick because they came to this meeting and had their mask off and somebody else had their mask off,
Yeah,
so
makes
okay.
sense. Yeah. makes total
So
sense.
that's good. All right, so I'm glad you agree about that. Let's see.
Okay, Brad, you're raising your hand. You have something?
I just had a concert, and it was exciting having a concert and scary. And one of the things we asked was that people wear masks, and most people did. And then the question came up, well, what do we do with the people who don't? And it was very funny because my whole board immediately ducked. And there I was. And so I walked up and I asked the people who weren't wearing masks to wear masks, and they put them on. But my question here is, do we want to take that step? Are we just asking people to wear masks, or do we want to, if they don't, do we want people to ask them to wear masks? And if so, I'm willing. I also
You're
have
a
some.
hero.
I also have some masks. I bought a bunch of masks from Big Y. It's a lot easier to ask people to wear masks if you have
If
one
you
in your
give them
hand to
one.
give them.
Yes.
But it's a question: how far do we want to go?
Yes.
So
Savannah was trying to get in.
So I was in Springfield today at the museums, the art museum and the science museum. And on some of the buildings, they had a sign that said masks required. And on some, they did not. It just depended on whether it was mostly kids who were going to be in the museum or not. So why couldn't we just have a sign that says masks required?
It doesn't do it. I had signs up. And my question
people-
really is, do we want to take the extra step? Yeah, Mary Ann?
Mary Ann?
So I think what we do is, so the town has masks, Brad. We don't have to use your masks. And I think we have the masks, and if people come in without masks, I'm perfectly comfortable having a box of masks on a table, having a big sign that says, do you need a mask? Take a mask. And then asking people who don't have a mask on, can we give you a mask? When I left for my vacation, we were at about 100 cases a day in the state of Massachusetts. And Friday, it was over 1,000.
Yeah.
And so, so that's, so the cases have gone up 10 times in 2 weeks. What will they be by then? And I think people are used to it. I think a lot of people at town meeting had masks on, even though it was really much safer then.
Yeah.
And if all the publicity says wear a mask and we're all wearing a mask, then I think other people are going to be likely to wear a mask. So
I do too, but we're not quite addressing Brad's question, which is, are some of us willing to go up to people and say, here's a mask, it's required. Not do you want one, but here is a mask. If you need one, masks are required at this event. And or something like that, Brad. If I'm putting the wrong words in your mouth, please shout. But I'm perfectly willing to do that myself.
To me, there's 2 steps there.
Yeah.
One is just the asking people to put one on.
Yeah.
And then there's the question is, if they just absolutely refuse. So far, I haven't hit anyone who refuses, but that was because at my concert, our next door neighbor didn't show up. I knew if she showed up, she wouldn't wear a mask. I also know she's not vaccinated. It was a little scary. But so, Mary Ann, to me, your answer was yes, we can ask, and I almost sense that you felt like you would do that. If you need help, I'm willing. I can be very gentle. I am gentle. But then the second question is, are we just going to ask, or are we going to require masks? How far do we want to push it?
I don't know. I don't know that we can require masks, but I think we can, we can really encourage masks. So we can encourage masks by talking about it, by having a big sign up and having masks available, by asking people if they need a mask, by wearing masks ourselves, and by having that in our publicity over the next week. Maybe maybe there'll be some updated guidance from the Board of Health, but I don't think the Board of Health is inclined to issue any guidance that the state's not issuing. And so far the state is not issuing anything. And I think it is an outdoor location, and we can also see how many people there are. And I think when we set the chairs up, we should try and set them up, not one next to another, but we should set them up so that there's some distance between them, like in sets of 2. And we won't be able to fit very many if we're doing it 6 feet apart. But I think we should strongly encourage. And if somebody's not wearing a mask, frankly, I haven't encountered that here in Shutesbury yet. And I was encouraged to see that everybody who was at that town hall meeting had a mask on, last week. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if town hall can require masks, I'm not quite sure why we can't.
Town hall doesn't require masks.
Oh, I thought they did.
I
No,
thought it did too. The
no.
sign says it does. The sign on the door says it
Yeah,
does.
so the sign says something like, please wear a mask.
Should we have an
so-
unmasked section?
we could
Anyway,
have-
I think you're right. I think we can
Yeah.
just move on.
Yes, okay,
Masks strongly encouraged and available.
okay,
Right.
all right,
Yeah.
okay,
And maybe put that in bold print in the thing, any publicity that you do. So that
Yes.
you don't miss it.
right.
And that way they can say, oh, I didn't see
We
it.
can use those same words. Please wear a mask. We
Yeah,
don't have to.
absolutely.
Right,
We don't have to acknowledge that we're not going to enforce it in.
right,
So
right.
is there anything else in the director's report before we get to the bulk of the meeting, which is to prepare for the 17th besides?
I have-
Let me look. Site selection. So I have 2 quotes. I'm waiting on a third for a phase 1 environmental screening behind town hall. So far, so I'm going to ask if the highway department can do the excavating for the perk test, because then we don't have to pay for it. And then I had a nice long talk with an engineer from O'Reilly. Oh, wait a minute. Well, whoever did the geotechnical survey the last time around. And they had some really good ideas about the type of testing we need to do at Lot 032 to really definitively answer
Mhm.
our questions. And it's going to be $8,000 to $10,000
Okay.
to do that. And of course, I'll get more quotes. I'll get 2 more quotes for that. But they said the real place we need to test is the place where the septic system is. Where's the leach field? Because if, so it was a garage, and if the person who had the garage was getting rid of stuff, they were likely pouring it down the drain and it went into the leach field. So anyway, and then they talked about, it was really good talk. He talked about,
You mean where the leach field was for the house? So where do we?
no, the leach field for the
The
garage.
garage.
Yeah.
Okay. So it had a separate leach field from the house.
I don't know. I'll have to ask the Board of Health.
Okay, all right.
And then, and of course we're going to do targeted soil sampling, like under where the piles of debris are after those are moved. And, and then if there's like gasoline or oil, those can be cleaned up. If there were solvents used, so for like body work, those can't be cleaned up. So anyway, so it is a big unknown, and that's why it's important. And town hall seems like a much cleaner site, with less questions. So I'm working on all of those things. So okay, and then I'll just talk about the oh, do you have a question, Kate?
I do. I'm not sure what OPM stands for, and I don't see it written out anywhere.
What is
Okay,
it?
Owner's Project Manager. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
All right. Yeah.
I know what
okay,
it means now. So
all right.
can we
okay.
write that out though?
Yes. Is that in the director's report? Okay.
Yeah.
And then so then the mediated discussions. So we're having this meeting with the MBLC, and then we'll have some more meetings, so we have to do a site selection by September 30th, and then the grant application is due, say, at the very end of November. So for now, we need to work on site selection, and then the mediated discussions we talked about the last time were sort of in response to that sentiment in town that we haven't done enough to create a dialogue
Right.
between people who were opposed to the library and people who supported the library the last time.
Right.
And so I've been in conversation with an organization in Greenfield that Savannah used to work at. and they're working on getting 2 meeting facilitators together. And then the next step is they want to have a meeting with a small group of us. So like me, one of you, and one friend of the library. Um, and having it be only one of you um, means we don't have to post it. We don't have to go through all of that for the
Mhm.
scheduling. Okay, so if it's one of you and one friend of the library, then just a small group for them to ask questions and sort of come up with a plan. And then we'll schedule a few just mediated community conversations to people to come out and talk about how they feel.
Mhm.
So, and that's not going to be very expensive. So, and I'm sure the Friends of the Library would be willing to pay for that. Yep, Kate.
And that would be separate from conversations about the building program and what,
Yes.
yes, okay, just to be
Yes.
absolutely clear.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes. And then I would say, let's get through that and through the site selection and then start, oh, wait a minute, the building program is due.
The 30th?
Oh my God, the building program is due September 30th. So then I think we need to schedule um, some community meetings to gather feedback just about what people want in a library, say in the first 2 weeks of September. And
Oh,
so, um, so, so it's, and the MBLC said they were going to provide some guidance about gathering that
Mhm.
feedback. I haven't seen it yet. Did they? And I think they said that in that meeting that you
Yeah,
all
I
were
think
at.
they're working on it, is what I
They
recall.
are working on it.
Yeah.
So so I think so maybe tomorrow I'll send out or sometime this week I'll send out a doodle poll to come up with some dates during the beginning of September that um that you all they could be trustee meetings. And that doesn't mean you all have to be there. But but I'm gonna need help with that because
Brad had a question.
okay.
Could you tell me again? Well, let me put this differently. Is the building program, is that a text, a description of what we're looking for? How would you define the building program?
I would define a building program as a set of instructions to the architect who's going to design the new Shutesbury Library.
Okay.
So it describes the community, so our demographics and our sort of the flavor of our community. And it describes the library facility that meets this community's library needs. So it has things like um, uh, sort of capacities. So how big we want the adult room to be, how much shelving there should be, how many tables and chairs there should be, um, how many computers there should be. Um, and it describes adjacencies. So we want the children's room to be next to the bathroom, and we want the community meeting room to be next to the circulation desk. And I'm just making that up. None of that is so it describes things like that. And it describes our sort of energy goals and things like that. Michelle, do you have something to add?
Yeah, so Brad, what the MBLC folks said is because the LiftNet did this last time, a lot has been done. It might not be exactly the same, but it could be updated. And plus the fact that they gave us this, which we didn't have
Yeah.
last time, will
That
really
helps a lot.
help. Because last time we were using those Wisconsin standards and we had to do a lot, dig through a lot to figure it out. So they seem to think that we already had a pretty good start, and just things will just need to be updated and revised. So
And I assume we trustees would be involved and would see it. So would we be bringing the program to a trustee meeting, the building program, before it gets submitted to MBLC?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
mhm.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure I ever saw the last.
It's on the website, still there, I believe, but under LiftNet, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's still there. So we certainly weren't releasing that digitally the last time. We had printed copies that were available
Mhm.
at town hall and at the post office and at the library, but we didn't.
Would it be possible for me to get something digital or print?
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't know if you can have it digitally, but I can give you a print
Okay.
copy. So, yeah, okay.
The
Yeah.
information from the MLBC, MBLC, excuse me, mentions that their building specialists will work with the libraries on that library building program. Is there anything planned where you will be meeting with them in relation to that document?
Not yet.
Okay. Do you know if they're still planning to approach it that way and be part of the
I
building
believe so.
program
That's what I
preparation?
recall them saying, Tim, at that meeting.
I had a slightly different take. I sort of assumed that we are creating our building program and we're going to submit it to MBLC and then the dialogue starts to refine it.
So part of what they're going to do at the meeting next week is solicit community feedback
Uh-huh.
for the building program.
Uh-huh.
So they're going to help begin that conversation with the community. So they want to hear next week the kinds of things that we want in a library, and I'm really curious to see how they approach that. Yes, Kate?
So I know that some folks were pretty frustrated at how hard it was for observers to hear during last week's meeting. And I'm hoping that lots of the people who were observing are present, but I'm also hoping that more new library supporters. We had not opposition. I won't characterize them that way, but people with lots of questions and real concerns on the call last week, and not so many people who really support a new library. So are we able to do anything to try to ensure that all sides are represented?
So that's a good question. And so I don't know if I finished it or not, but I've either drafted an email that's finished and I've sent to the Friends of the Library, or I have a draft that I haven't quite finished, reminding them about that meeting and asking them to come. And then I have been mentioning it to people as I talk to them. It would be really, really good if each of you could ask your friends and neighbors to come to the meeting.
Mhm.
And then Kate, I saw that you put it on next door this evening, which was great. And it's on the library website. I think I've put it on the Facebook page. And what I will do is
You did.
um, I will put it, so when I send out the announcements about, there are only 2 fitness classes happening right now, but usually when I have something big to announce, I include it in those direct emails that go to the fitness classes. And so it would just be helpful if you could each sort of ask the people maybe if you each emailed 5 people
Mhm.
asking them to come to the meeting, that would be very helpful. Um, and and then and again, this is not the best timing. The end of August is a time when a lot of people are traveling, but this is the timing that the MBLC is working with. So um
Brad,
so
Brad, the question.
Do you know if we're likely to have any more hybrid meetings, public meetings where we want to Zoom to?
I don't know. um uh it's hard to say. We are not in charge of the technology at town hall. um and I made some
Can we
recommendations about the technology at town hall. And
be in charge of that? I mean, it was
um,
it
i-
was
if
awful, and
um,
it could have
yeah,
been fixed if we'd known. I don't have
right.
the equipment to do it. I could get the equipment to do it, What we
Right.
need to do is not feed a microphone to a speaker and pick up the speaker by a computer. We need to feed a microphone into the computer.
I
And there
made
would
that
be,
exact same suggestion just the other day and I was
yeah.
met with resistance.
Well, I can
So,
understand the resistance because I think most people don't understand how you do
right,
that.
They
right.
really don't. They really don't.
Yes. So, so if we're hosting a meeting, we'll make sure that we have the right technology there. How's that sound?
Yeah,
If you give me enough
absolutely.
warning, I
Yes.
can make sure we've got some.
Okay. All righty.
Sounds
No,
great.
I don't own the equipment that
Yes.
we would need.
Right. And we're not, the meeting at the athletic club is not going to also be on Zoom because the internet isn't strong enough underneath the pavilion. And but we could certainly have some of the meetings that we do with the community to gather feedback on Zoom. Okay, Kate.
Okay.
I feel like we need a note taker for the meeting next week. I will volunteer. But I feel like we need to post, even though it's not an official trustees meeting, it sort of has to be because we're all going to be there. And it, so at least I hope many of us will be there. So I volunteer to take notes and to post them.
Okay.
Or send them, via various, we can get them out via various channels. But I think transparency is one of the most important things that we're getting dinged for it already. I don't think we should be, but we are. So I want to make sure that we, counteract that message with action. And so I'll volunteer to do that next week.
Thank you. That's awesome.
So I feel like we're sort of moved past the director's report and
Right.
into prepping. So do we want to just approve the director's report pro
Yeah.
forma?
Yep, makes sense. And then we can go on to the rest of the discussion about the 17th. Anybody, Brad, were you making a motion to accept the director's report?
Right. I move.
Okay, anybody want a
Second.
second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Kate, do you want to facilitate the next part then? You're so
Yeah.
privileged to do this with
So
community stuff.
just the thing that concerned me the most from the meeting that we had, just to sort of jump to that, it was a great meeting. I learned a lot. The $3 million cap is apparently not there anymore. That's kind of a big deal.
Right.
And I thought that Lauren and Andrea were really helpful and clearly invested in giving Shutesbury its best chance to succeed in the pilot project. And, we're really savvy about the kinds of challenges that we'll face, savvy about what the state can do and can't do, flexible about approaches within the guidelines. And I loved their frame of, help Shutesbury build the library that it needs efficiently. Okay, and that's a great message, it seemed to me. The thing I was concerned most by was the idea that we will have to vote to fund a library without knowing what the price tag is. I don't think that that's a great approach for Shutesbury. I'm not sure where it would be a good approach, but I don't think it is here. And so I think that what we might suggest, and one of us should probably carry this message next week, is that we should include a not to exceed budget as part of the building program. Or whatever piece it is that we need to vote on, people should know what the total price tag is going to be, plus or minus a contingency of whatever the industry standard is, 10, 15%, I'm not sure. And I wanted to just see what y'all thought about that. I don't think it's possible to campaign for a library with an unknown price tag in Shutesbury. I don't think it's desirable either. I don't think it will help the town get to where we hope we can get to in supporting a new building. So I'm just going to shut up for a minute and see what y'all think of those suggestions.
I hear what you're saying, but what did you intend to make as the relationship between the August 17th meeting and that particular question?
I
Did you
think
want to-
I think we say the trustees have a recommendation. I mean, it's our call, right? That we say, we won't do that. We will put in the building program a not to exceed price tag
But are you
as the
suggesting,
direction to the architect.
so you're suggesting that this is something that would be vocalized on August 17th?
Yeah,
Okay.
because the MBLC can't deliver that message. And that's not the message that they did deliver,
So,
right? Quite the contrary.
so Kate, when you and I had a little conversation about this at the site or in the car or something, what I thought you were talking about was when we had the vote. I didn't think it was going to be by next month. I don't see how that can possibly come so quickly. We have no idea what the building costs might be. I thought you were
Well,
talking about the big vote in the spring.
certainly for the big vote in the spring, but if the architect doesn't get a budget, the architect's not going to necessarily design to a budget, are they? We've got an actual trained architect on the call, but Brad, what do you think?
It depends on when all that architecture gets started, all the work. I agree it's going to be really weird in April town meeting. That's, I think, when town meeting is next April. It's going to be really weird not to have something and to say price wise. And I felt like the two from MBLC, at one point I thought they said, oh, like we hadn't thought about that. That's a good idea. And I felt like it was, they were positive towards that. So we should definitely encourage that and let them know that we think it's a necessity. I'm not sure what we would say now. I don't know what words we could say. I mean, we could go to this meeting in whatever it is, 10 days, it's not long, and say, we will bring something forth to town meeting. But I'm not sure what that something is yet.
So what they said was they thought that was a good idea, but they also said they have estimators on staff that could do that. But I thought we were talking about the April vote, not
I thought we were talking
the
about
building program's too early. I just don't see how we could.
Okay, so I
we're
hear
still
you.
talking about two different things. I think what we're saying is in April we want to have some statement of cost. There's no way we're going to have a statement of cost now. I think Cade was talking about our saying now that we will have a cost in April.
Yeah.
And I don't
Okay,
know how
that
to
wasn't
word that.
clear. I thought you were talking
Well,
about
so
the credit exceed now.
I conflated the two things myself. I mean, I do think that the architect needs to have some idea of what our budget is going to be so that we end up with a building that we can afford instead of a $6 million building, which will never get built, right? And so, yeah, but if the MBLC's message is you're going to have to vote and we won't know how much for, we have to counter that by saying, well, that's how the state will organize it, but the trustees of the library will not put, you know, a project on the town warrant that doesn't have a price tag on it. Then we commit to that.
So I have a question just about sort of past history. Like I didn't live in town when the school was rebuilt or whatever. How did they deal with that, Marianne? Were you here then, or Brad, or
I don't remember.
Savannah? Like I don't know how that.
Yeah. So I don't think that this particular process is like any other process.
Okay.
You know, I agree it is it's problematic. And I think we should we can say that we agree that it's problematic and we are um, we're talking about strategies um, to address it. Um, and I would hesitate to say something like that we are gonna include not to exceed number in the building program without running it by Lauren and Andrea first. Like I wouldn't publicly announce anything at the meeting without them knowing what we're publicly announcing.
Yeah, I mean, I did raise it with them,
Okay,
specifically with Lauren, and
yeah,
said,
okay,
we're not going to win a campaign that doesn't have a price tag.
right,
We will not.
right.
And I said, we need to find a way around
Yeah,
that.
I
And
agree with
here's
you.
an approach.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with you. And I think that maybe in the spring that makes more sense. I think to even say it now is just premature. That's my sense anyway.
okay.
On the other
ahead,
hand,
Jeff.
though, it's not unlikely that people are going to raise their hand and say, well, how much is this going to cost?
They
Total, and how
will.
much am I going to have to pay?
They will. Yeah,
And
yeah.
if it's just a blanket, well, we don't know, we're going to have to, I'd probably rely on the MBLC to take that ball and explain it in a way which people find palatable.
That's what they're used to doing. That's their job. Yeah, go ahead, Marianne.
Well,
We
that's
do that
this.
last
So they're
week,
running
though.
this meeting,
Right.
right? They're running this meeting, and it's too soon to say. We don't know how much it's going to cost because the community hasn't told us what kind of library they want yet.
That's a good
Then when we have a building program and we have a sense of, square footage, then we will be able to take, well, first of all, this isn't our first rodeo. So we'll be able to sort of say, we can sort of guesstimate, we can estimate that there's this much for site work, and then there's the cost per square foot for municipal construction. We're going to be able to estimate it. And we also have some contractors on our team. So Michael Broad, who lives here in town, who was on the first library building committee and is helping me with the site selection work, is a contractor who he works for Habitat for Humanity. And Rita, his wife, just coincidentally, has been involved in municipal construction. So we do have some expertise on our team. But I agree that this is a problematic piece to this project. And it may, maybe it will change to, I don't see how you have a cost estimate without having a schematic. And there isn't a plan of having a schematic, or even hiring an architect before we get to town meeting next spring. But we'll have other construction projects to point to, like the Irving Public Library or the Monterey Public Library. And we'll have sort of educated information about cost per square footage and the cost per site work and things like that. So I do think we can come up with a price that is, that's within a range, and then we can tell town meeting, we can ask the MBLC if they're going to accept that language. I don't see how any town votes for a project that they don't know what the price is.
Right. I think, sorry, go ahead, Michelle. And then
So,
Brad.
Marianne, do you know how much Irving's building cost?
Oh, Irving's building was a fortune. It was a lot of money. I don't know off the top of my head, but it was a shocking amount of money. And I'm sure it's a bigger building than we're going to build.
Well, Hadley's was over project, they told us, like by $1 million. So we won't want to talk about Hadley. I just
Right. Well, yeah, it wasn't that Irving went over budget. It was that it's, like they have money.
Yeah,
So,
I know. They
Yeah.
work in the district, from North Vermont. But also she said there was some problem with about the the contractors couldn't get there. I said, what do you mean? It's right off Route 2.
Right.
She said, well, the contract was given to some contractor from New York State. Like, that didn't even make
Yeah.
sense.
Right, right.
Brad, I
They
saw
wouldn't
you.
take it. Sorry.
We've all said this. It seems quite reasonable to think we'll have some kind of rough estimate by April based on the building program and discussions after that. I worry about taking that rough estimate and turning it into a cap, because I'm afraid the cap, if we're asking for a cap, will get set at the rough estimate, and we need the room for that rough estimate to be wrong. So that's
Yeah,
one statement. And turning it upside down, I think MBLC is trying to streamline this as much as possible. At the same time, I look at Marianne's list of the dates and all, and to me, it's been getting longer because it's been more realistic. And one of the ways I feel they're trying to do that is by asking for town approval before we have the knowledge of what it's going to cost. Usually it would be a two-part process. And by cutting it to one, we have this problem, and it may end up being insurmountable. It may be that we get initial approval and we still have to go back again when we find out the money. It's hard to judge how town will take it.
We're probably getting ahead of ourselves tonight. I think Mary Ann said it well about how to approach this
For 2
August
minutes.
17th meeting.
Yeah.
And there's, this is a dynamic process. The MBLC is learning, we are learning because it's a new program. And I think we can just do, as Mary Ann said, acknowledge that we have a concern and not worry about it till we get closer to the next year.
okay, I just want to point out for everyone what's going to happen if that's the scenario. What I imagine can happen based on what we've seen before, which is in the space of a lack of information and commitment is where people who already don't support this or are really concerned about taxes and other issues in town are going to supply information. Okay. And I know that Andrea and Lauren are alive to this, okay, because they said so. But that's what they're doing. They're providing a gap, an information gap in a place where there's a lack of trust. And if you do that as part of any, political process, which this is a political process, we have to take input from the town. We have to have votes from the town. It's a political process. If you do that, this is what will happen. Okay. So I agree that, saying we will have a cap, is maybe premature. Setting a cap may be difficult, even though I think we could do the rough estimate plus or something like that. But we're putting ourselves in a box because we're not that what we say is one thing, what the opponents or people who were concerned about supporting this project will hear, and what they will do with that lack of information is another. Okay, and I know y'all know this. So we have to figure out a better answer than we don't know yet. We have to. And we need it for next week. Go ahead, Brad.
The lack of knowledge is also going to increase their fear of the whole project.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so you think we need that information? You think we need an answer to that for next week? I will have a conversation with Lauren and Andrea about this.
Even if it's just the town can set a not to exceed figure when it votes.
Okay.
Even if that's just the answer that we give, the town can do that.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
plausible and possible.
All right.
That's good enough.
Okay.
But we are not going to be able to skate by this question. And if we try to, we're not going to be serving well, I think. Sorry, I get disinformation is a thing too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We learned that last time.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I just felt like it's too hard to come up with we don't even know what the building program's going to be yet.
We
So,
don't need a
yeah,
cost, we need an
April.
answer.
Yeah,
need
we
an
don't,
answer.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
So it's
Right.
8:30 now. How much more do we want to stay on? And is there anything else you feel like we really need to feel comfortable about for next week or since
Yeah, so I'm just reflecting some of the questions that I'm seeing and hearing from people. And one is, who's going to bear the cost of all this testing? And the MBLC folks don't have the answer, Marion. You have the answer to that, right?
Yeah. So the library is going to bear the cost of all
The
this stuff.
library or the Friends of the Library?
Both. So I have state aid money
Okay.
that I have about 2 years worth of state aid money that I'm going to use first, and then I'm going to ask the Friends of the Library to fund the rest of it.
Okay. Just
So
needs to
we're
be clear
doing
that,
sorry, we're doing
Right.
that, not the town.
Well, so
right.
the town is paying for the demolition of the building and the cleanup of the debris.
Okay.
And then, and the library is doing the phase 1 site assessment behind town hall, the perk test behind town hall, and then the targeted soil testing at lot 032 and testing the water in those test wells at town hall and lot 032.
Okay.
But just to be clear, the town's clearing that and cleaning up the lot because the town owns that and it's responsible for maintaining land in good shape. We don't know that that's where the library is going to be built.
That's right.
So we
right.
don't, I think it would be really wise to decouple that and say that's the town's responsibility as the landowner.
Right.
And we don't know that that's where the library is going to be built, but it won't be built until those things are done.
Right.
Okay, we wouldn't choose that as a site until those things were set.
Right. And MBLC made it clear that they want to ensure that whatever site is chosen is a clean site.
Yep,
And they'll probably say that again.
yep. Were
If
there
you're-
any, sorry, go ahead.
If you're comfortable with that response, I want to go back to something Brad said about being wary of putting a cap on the price and then bringing that back to the August 17th meeting. If you put use the word cap,
I won't.
that will also be picked up as information that's people said, well, you told us there's going to be a cap. And
We can
you're
say a
pretty
not to
quickly
exceed
locked into
figure.
that. Excuse me?
Yeah, we can say that there's, going to be, well, we can decide how to frame it, right? We have put several projects out to bid that have passed town meeting with a not to exceed figure in the warrant. Okay, we've done that twice at least. One for the partial roof replacement and one, I think, for the culvert. A culvert. Both when we put a not to exceed figure in the warrant article, and we came in under that. The bids came in under that.
Right.
So, I hear what you're saying, and I don't want to box us in, but we're going to get boxed in at some point, one way or the other. And if we go right off the bat and say, yeah, we're going to ask you for money, but we don't know how much, we've lost before we start.
Mary Ann, if you're going to talk with the MBLC, how will the rest of us be able to hear what you discussed with them?
I'll send you an
before August
email.
7th? Okay.
I'll send you an email.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And then don't reply all.
Which we must not reply, right?
You can reply directly to me, but don't reply all. Okay. Okay.
Is there anything else?
Thank you
Kate,
all
that you
for
feel is
listening
important?
and for your suggestions about how to frame this. What else do we think we might need to know that is our responsibility as townspeople and trustees for next week? Are there any other questions that we think? Go ahead, Brad.
So we're not going to Zoom, which I think is great. I don't want to do that again so soon. But I wondered whether we should see if someone could film it. I don't know.
Oh, it's
whether
being
the-
filmed.
Okay.
It's
Oh.
being filmed, yes. Nate Longcope, who lives in town, is a video guy, and he's actually borrowing a camera from the Franklin County community media people. And then I'm actually going to invite him to come to the tour of the Irving Library and to video that too. So
I think both of those will be really helpful. I mean, even if people don't ever view it, for people to know that what we see and discuss is available.
Yeah.
Right, and it'll
Yeah.
be part of our story, which
Yeah.
they were talking about. It's important to have a story about this process, so.
Yeah.
On August 17th, do we have to formally open a trustee meeting? Do we need to gather at some point and say this?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can, I suspect so, since we're all going to be there, and that even though it's not our meeting, we did convene a trustee meeting last week, along with the finance committee and the select board. So yeah, I mean, just get there 5 minutes early and we'll call ourselves to order.
Okay.
I will post that meeting.
Thank you.
And okay. Okay. All righty.
Marianne is, our job is to support you. Is there anything left in the air about August 17th that you're a little worried about or concerned about, or we can help you with?
Just getting people there.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing, is getting people there.
Okay.
I'll be there at 5:30 to help set up.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
on the
I'm
All
calendar.
right.
sorry, I can't do that, but I'll be
That's
there.
okay.
at
But if
6:20.
if Brad and Tim are there, that's enough. Yeah, that's enough. Okay.
You realize it's Nancy's birthday that day.
That Nancy can come too. Okay.
Is it-
Savannah,
Emily, you have
Does
something?
anybody know if Melanie's gonna be there?
Melanie's going to be there.
Okay,
Yes.
because I'm away, but there will be a quorum, right? If Melanie
Yeah.
is there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a quorum with 4 trustees.
Oh, okay.
So even if Melanie can't be there, but I'm sure she'll be there.
Yeah, she's going to be there. So she has a migraine today. And even if she has a migraine Tuesday, she's going to be there.
so it's
and-
8:42. Do we want to wrap up? If we feel like we're all set?
I'm not quite set.
Okay,
We got a number of us are going to be there. Somebody comes up to each of us individually and says, I don't buy this idea of not knowing what it's going to cost. I'd like to almost have after Marianne talks to the MBLC, I'd almost like to have a dictated line that we all have as our talking point response to that, so that we're not giving several variations of the same response.
and Marianne.
So, all right. So here's this is a thing I'm really terrible at doing, but, oh, that's a good question. Let me get back to you on that. That is, if you don't absolutely positively know the answer, if you're not 110% sure, then that's it. And then you come back to the group and you get the answer and you go back to them with the question. And then we may not have an answer to that very question next week. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, the other thing we could do is tell them, how about if they're asking them to email us that question? And we'll talk about it at a trustee meeting.
So
If we're going to
Okay,
go
it's
that route,
documented.
if we're going to go that route, we might want to have cards with our new email address for community response. I do think we can go a step further than that. We are concerned. We want to have some cost information in April. And what I would feel like saying is that we'll be working to figure out as much as we can by April, And there's no way to know it now. Marianne has said this earlier. There's no way to know it now because we haven't finished the process of.
I think that's the perfect answer that everybody should take, is we're working on it
I think
now.
it's the timeline, when we'll know. It's, we have a process for getting to how we'll know, but we all should say April. In other words, before town meeting, we
I
will
missed
have
it.
a
I just lost
robust
page
cost
for-
estimate for this
Oh,
project.
did I freeze?
That's the
That's me.
answer.
And
We
I-
can't have an information
dang.
session on this where we don't deliver that answer.
Yeah. And I don't think we need to say we'll know the price. I don't think-
Robust cost estimate.
A rough cost estimate. Yeah. We'll,
Robust,
a
not
robust-
rough. Robust, strong.
that
You
those are great words, because it really does express what we're concerned with, what we want,
Yeah.
what our goal is, and it also doesn't pin us down to something specific.
Right.
Oh, and it sounds almost as if we're approaching that as a defensive response, but we're looking out for the library, and
The
as
taxpayer.
supporters of the library, we want to know those things. I mean, it's not as if it's a defensive response. It's something we all need to be cognizant of and work together on. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's not defensive, it's proactive. It's our job as library trustees to advocate for the best library support services and facilities that Shutesbury needs, okay, and can afford. That's been a key part of our message for years. And so as part of that stewardship, we commit to presenting a robust cost estimate to town meeting in April. How does that feel?
Perfect.
People feel like they can say that comfortable, or some, tailored to yourself version. I really appreciate your asking for the key message. I think that's the most important thing that people are going to need to hear from us next week.
If, Marianne, when you talk to MBLC, if there's any way that they can say that, if that's something that they feel like they can say, that would add a huge amount of strength to it.
It would, but I think that they're not here, right? And we need to deliver that message ourselves too, or reinforce it.
Yeah.
We need to carry that message as elected officials in
Can
this
somebody
town.
bring me up to speed? My computer froze. You guys froze.
Ugh. So Tim was
Brett?
asking us for a
Yes, I got that part.
one sentence response to the
Right.
cost question.
Right.
And the answer that we're coming up with now and refining is, we know the process that will get us there. And as trustees, we are committing to presenting a robust cost estimate at town meeting in April.
I think Brad's point is kind of good, though, because if we're saying that in a casual conversation there, MBLC hopefully will not say something opposite, like, well, gee, we just don't know. I mean,
I know, right? So that's why Marianne's going to talk, but Marianne's going to test this via email with the MBLC people to make sure that we're not committing to something that they think is just stupid, right? And that we have a unified message, unified true message. Go, Brad.
So if, Marianne, when you talk to them, if they really feel this can't be done, I would say we should try to have another very short trustee meeting, just because we need to talk about it before.
Okay, I will call them tomorrow, okay?
Great.
And then that gives us time to post a meeting. Okay, all right.
And then could we put it in our message box or someplace that we can all access it so we know what it is?
I will, once I hear from Marianne, I will frame it. If people trust me for this, I'll frame it as the response to the question, right? So, and send it around and no one will respond.
Okay.
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 All of these things work best when the message is the same, but you deliver it in words that feel like your own.
Mhm.
Okay,
Right.
that's always two. So if you don't like the word robust, you know, pick another one. But reliable, okay, trustworthy, whatever feels comfortable for you.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
All right.
So are we all set then? Any other questions, or we'll wait to hear from Marianne about her phone conversation?
Phone
Yeah.
conversation and then dates for mediated sessions and information gathering sessions about the building program.
Would
Okay.
anyone consider having a trustees meeting on the 20, whatever the Monday is before we go to Irving? The 23rd?
23rd.
I would be happy to meet then.
I'm not 100% sure I'll be here.
Yeah, it's, if people, you know, as long as we have a quorum, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here.
I think it would help us to debrief, and I
Oh,
think,
I don't, no, I won't be here. I'm sorry.
okay, well, we'll see if we can get a quorum. We'll post it, and if we don't have a quorum, we won't meet. But, because maybe Melanie can make it, okay. But I think it would be good to debrief, and I also think if we have to get the building program done by the end of September, and we need to have two kinds of input session, we need to have mediated listening, or mediated sessions and input sessions, and do this, and that's a lot to do in a month, y'all.
Yes.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
have to get on
Okay.
like a bonnet, okay?
Yeah,
Alright.
I would say we might have to meet more than once a month, because with LiftNet.
Oh, we definitely are going to
we
have
met
to.
every
Yeah.
other, we met every other week, sometimes more frequently than that.
Should we set the meeting after that as well?
It's a really good
Sure.
idea. What about the day? So Labor Day, we would normally is a I think Mondays, we just let's keep our meetings on Mondays if people can possibly do that.
The 6th.
Yeah, so Labor Day is the 6th. So what about we just set a meeting on the 13th?
Oh, so not the-
I'm not
so the-
available.
so
You're
the
not
6th.
available? Okay.
Are people available on Labor Day, or are people away?
I have to go get my calendar because there's a lot going on in September.
Put on the 13th.
I could do anything in September at this point. Yeah, we're gonna have to.
And we're not all going to be available for every meeting. If we
Yeah.
have to meet more often, it's just not going to be possible, but we're going to have to, you know, take good notes, share good notes, be willing to watch recordings or whatever we need to do.
Mhm.
In a
It's
way,
go
I think the
time, y'all.
13th would be perfect. I can't go, but I like the way it spaces out.
Yeah,
And then we could have one on the 27th.
I think we'll have to. If the things due on the 30th, we'll have
Yeah.
to meet.
Did you make some decisions while I stepped out?
Yes, you're meeting every Monday, Tim. We signed you up.
Just me? Is anybody else going to be
Just
there?
you.
No.
Just you, all by yourself. You're a host in yourself. So we've agreed to a meeting on the 23rd at 7:30. We've agreed to a meeting on the 13th at 7:30, acknowledging that not everyone will be able to be at every meeting, but we're gonna let each other know if we can or can't, so that we'll know whether we have a quorum. And then requesting a meeting on the 27th at 7:30.
Okay, I have an idea. So then we want to have a couple of meetings that are just about gathering community input for the building program.
Mhm.
Do we want to just go ahead and schedule those and then not have them be trustee meetings? And it could be one trustee and me. And so it'll just be asking questions and having people reply. And I think why don't we do one in person and one on Zoom? So we're having the big one with the MBLC next week. So how does that sound? Does anybody?
So these are the mediated?
No, these aren't the
Oh, these are
mediated
the information
Oh.
for the building program sessions.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. So I mean, we actually have time. We could do one, Thursday, August 26th. Is anybody?
Before we have a mediated listening session, or does it matter?
I don't think it matters. Or you know what, let me get the mediated sessions in the books if I can. And then if I can't, then I can just email you. I can pick a couple of dates, email you all. One of you says I can help you that night. We come up with we see the questions that they ask next week and we ask the same questions. Okay,
Perfect.
all
To
right.
Right.
clarify, did you say we're talking about a meeting on the 27th or we're locking that in?
We're not.
Any objection to a
Oh, the
meeting on the
27th is
27th?
locked in. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so yes,
September you're talking about.
Yes, and
no,
Yeah,
August.
No,
But
we're
that's
not
not-
doing, we're not going to do that. We're just going to wait until I get the mediated sessions.
I'm
going.
sorry, but the trustee meeting on the 23rd
Yes, the
Yeah.
23rd is
and the
locked in.
trustee meeting on the 13th, and that's as far as
Okay.
we've gotten
Okay.
for trustee
And the
meetings.
27th of
the
September.
27th of September.
And the 27th of September.
Yeah.
Right.
Great. So essentially every couple weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Suit up. It's
Okay.
time to go.
Okay.
Thank you all. Thanks, Michelle.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Any more
Uh,
question? Or are you waving goodbye, Brad?
I think we just adjourn. We
Okay.
don't take motions to adjourn. We are adjourned.
Good to
Boom.
see you
See y'all
all.
soon. See y'all next
Bye.
week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hello? No. Are they in your backpack? Hello. You know, the best room in the house is that screen in the porch. Yes, I love it out there. So I'm so glad we put it there, and I think it's perfect. Like, just the nice little, you know, it's perfect for just a small group. I just love it. So, yes. All right. I think we should paint the ceiling white. So, anyway, how's your car? Did you get it nice and clean? Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, oh, yes. Okay. So, well, you're the one who went out to clean it. Oh, what did you have for dinner? Something from Winco Foods? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. And what do you, okay. Yes, okay. Yeah, okay. Um, yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, all right. Yeah, okay. I think we paid them. I think they were due August 1st. Yeah, so I think we paid them already. Did you find them? Huh? No. Oh, are they missing? Or do you have her AirPods? Oh, Dad has them. Okay. Yes, he says they're coming in very handy. He wouldn't even know what to do with them. So you put them, you put them in your ears. You put them in your ears. Yeah, yeah, yes. You look cool. So, yeah. All right. Well, so I ordered a little pen for Pearl from Amazon because they have this little pen for I think it's $36. Um, and you know, if Petco was still there, but that's not there anymore. I bet they had things like that. You know, those kind of, oh, you know where they might have things like that is Farm Supply. Um, they'd be 150. So, and because she really needs something. So, she's going to have to be in there all the time. So, she's a little dumb. What do you mean? Oh, yes. Yeah. And then a mobile hanging from the ceiling over it. So, yes. Yeah. So, oh, you know how I said there was something fluttering in the tree? You know, that tree down in the chicken pen? So I went and looked at it today, and so on the back side of it, so like the side that kind of faces the woods on the, you know, like behind, like you go in and you're facing the tree, right? And then on the back side of it, there's a big cavity. And, huh? No, I don't think it's bats. Bats like to be up high. So there's all kinds of stuff hanging out of it. Like, yeah, yeah. I think, all right, so it's not a bird of prey because a bird of prey would be eating the chickens. But there's some kind of nest in there. So anyway, it's, you know, and like, you know, like I don't think squirrels, well, they don't flap for one thing. So anyway, it's just interesting. I'm like, oh, look at that, you know, so probably that tree will die. Because it's got a big hole in it. So, and like the bark is all missing. So, anyway. All right. Well, that's all the news I have. So, yeah, uh-huh, yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh, yeah, 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 yes, yeah. So, yes, they do. Yeah, mowing them will help keep them down actually, because then they won't like go to seed maybe. Um, so, for what? For the Great Buffalo Roundup? Oh, for Sturgis? Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah. God, I hope they're vaccinated. Do you think they're vaccinated? Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yes. Well, you don't ever go inside. Um, so, boy, I hope Eddie and Carol get vaccinated because you know what? They're going to get it again. Um, you know, it's, it's like a cold, right? So, like, and they say that most people get a cold once a year. Um, so it's like that, and like you have some immunity that lasts for a while, but then it wears off, you know. So God, I hope I mean, do they get a flu shot? You know? Um, so yeah, who's not vaccinated? Haley. Um, so and and like she's doing acupuncture on people, like she's in a room with people, like giving them health care because she's a crazy anti-vaxxer, you know. So oh God, so anyway, yeah, yeah, so yeah, yeah. Well, you have to win $1 million if you want to buy that property. I'm buying the Getz property. No, I signed you up. I signed you up for the $1 million. So, yeah, okay. Yes, yeah, because we can both win. Um, yes, yes, you can have goats on yours, and I'll have bison on mine. So, yeah, I'm not building another house. So, oh, okay. Well, you're gonna have to get the same tile. Um, so yes, yeah, yeah. If I built another house, I'd make it all one floor. Um, so, oh, okay, yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, oh, you know what? I was thinking we should order the rest of the blinds. Because now that those blinds are in the living room, we got to put blinds in all the windows. And we want to make sure we get the same color. Um, yeah. It's nice to have those blinds because you can pull them down. Although if you couldn't get the same color, you could take those and put them in the bedroom and then just order a different color for the living room. So yeah, okay. I'm not going to worry about it. No need to rush. Okay, we need a couch. So yeah. No, I don't want a gross used couch. I tried getting a gross used couch. I hate it. So, but at least it doesn't smell as bad as the other one. So, um, so anyway, all right. Well, no other news. Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. The ragweed is coming out. You know what you don't see out there is Queen Anne's lace. Oh, all right. So would you know how to gather the seeds? Like, when would I gather the seeds? Because it's all over the place here, probably because there's so much water. Oh, really? You think that late? Okay. All right. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. No, no, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I just want to kind of throw them in the field, and then, how like that teasel just grows in the field? Um, well, like, you know, um, that's maybe why there's so much of it. Um, because there's really a lot of it this year, like the grass. So I had Josh mow it shortly before I left, and it really needs to be mowed, but I think I'll wait one more week and then have him come. So, because it's nice when he does it. Yes, yes, yeah, I'll close all the windows. Yeah, yes. So I vacuumed the whole house and then washed the downstairs floors because Nevin and Grace are coming, and I vacuumed his room and dusted in there. Um, and and just because I don't know, like I don't know if she's gonna sleep in there with him. I don't know. Um, and like I don't ask any questions, Um, so, but I just thought, I just wanted to clean some, and then I did a bunch of laundry and put it all away, and then, so that's, and then did a bunch of dishes, and I cleaned part of the fridge, but not the whole thing. I cleaned the oven. Yes, yes, yeah, and it's supposed to be really hot. Um, so, um, so anyway, we'll see. So, yeah. Uh-huh. Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah. So, is it cooler up there? Because it wasn't cooler in Coeur d'Alene, you know. Um, uh-huh. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All righty. Okay. Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. I love you too. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. All right. Bye. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Do you have a lake pass?
no,
Why?
they never sent them to me.
Oh. How much is it?
I think $8.
Okay.
It's not that much. When you going?